So basically what we said last week was that, we are looking at a long-term relationship with our customers, and that's our history in EC Group, that we have gotten to work for long term, both from our team side as well as the client team side. So one of the important things to have a good relationship with the customer is to establish a good rapport, and to do that, you get to understand that person, so that you have a good working relationship with that person. So that every week when you meet him, or every few days that you meet, there will be something you can look forward to in that conversation. Not like just a pure question and answer or business discussion or something, but it's a nice, comfortable discussion. Of course, some meetings are more team meetings, many people are there. Some meetings may be one-on-one meetings, and in either case, it is good to understand the way that person thinks, his personality, his behavior, his attitude, all that personality traits that we understand. Because even when we deal with people here, when we deal with different people, we know how one person will react to a point or a discussion, and how another person will react. So we change our style of communication, our way of asking questions, or our, what we want to ask, we temper it. So the same principles apply when we deal with our clients also. But the only challenge is because they are cross-cultural, they're coming from a different cultural background. So it's important to understand their culture, and that is the whole idea of this program, is so that we are more tuned to their culture, so that we can have a good working relationship with them. All right. So with that in mind, we said, okay, let's try and find out some information, details, little by little, about the client managers that we deal with, because many of you will probably have daily stand-ups, daily meeting with some of your clients. Some maybe once a week, or less frequently. So okay, I'm just going to ask randomly. I don't know. I think somebody sent some details about Mike Sudik, and that's very easy to do because Mike Sudik is also our CEO. So okay, I'm just going to randomly ask people a few questions about what they learned about their respective clients this last week. Okay, let me see who is looking very. School level, I think if you were the teacher decides to ask, no. When the teacher is ready to ask a question, students will bury their face into the book. They're all studying very closely. I see some heads down. Okay, so let me start with Narendran. Okay, Narendran.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So who do you meet in your client meetings?
I will meet three persons. One person is Andrew.
Yes.
He is the founder of the Metaphor projects. He is the founder of Metaphor projects.
Yes.
And two other persons, they are QA.
Yeah.
One person is Allison.
Yes.
And then another person is Scoot.
Okay.
They are the clients. I meet them in the show and tell, and then estimation meeting.
Okay. So first question, Narendran, you identified your customers. How old do you think is Andrew?
I don't know on that part.
When you look at him, you can guess, no?
Out of syllabus.
I just researched about how when he studied and where he studied, but I didn't able to find out which is the age. But my guess is around 45 to 50.
45 to 50 is your guess.
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask somebody else. Prem, what do you think is Andrew's age?
Same thing, around 45 to 50 should be.
45 to 50. Now, if I ask anybody else also, they will say 45 to 50 only. So I will not ask. I don't know. I don't know how old he is. He could be around 45 to 50 or so. Who all have made a LinkedIn connection with Andrew? Thumbs up, everybody. 1, 2. Murli,
Not sure.
Vaidi, Daniel. That's all. Only 4 of you made connect.
Not
Nobody
sure
else.
if he is in LinkedIn. I didn't check that.
He is accepted my connection request. So he is on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Okay. So that's one thing you can do. LinkedIn is a very acceptable social media platform with which you can connect with your professional contacts. So you can send a connection request to Andrew, and it is up to him, and most people try to connect. Maybe some people for some reason may not connect, but that's okay. It is purely okay. It is purely proper to send a connection request for LinkedIn. So you can do that for all the customer managers that you deal with. Over the years, over the last, I don't know how long LinkedIn has been around, maybe more than 15 years. I have built like 800 plus LinkedIn contacts. And these are all people that I know personally, different stages of my life, from school, college contacts, to social contacts, professional contacts, and all that. And it's good to, it's a good way of keeping in touch with people, trying to identify, what they're up to and so on. So you can do that with Andrew also. Then you will get to know better about him. All right, so we have an age thing. Okay, now let me ask who else is on the metaphor team. Okay, Venkatesh. So Allison and Scoot, how old do you think they are?
They may be around 30.
Around 30, both around the same age, you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Both around the same age. I have not seen those people myself, so I can't guess. I've spoken to Andrew a few times, but the others I do not know. Okay, let me ask Vaidi. Okay, where does Andrew live?
Now?
Yes.
I think Michigan.
Michigan. Okay. Vinod, you have been working with Andrew for the longest time in our team. Where does Andrew live?
Even I have seen his location in map, but I forgot the name. If we search for applied learning, we get some idea, but I don't remember. That's a long work. And I checked his LinkedIn like around 6 months ago. So I don't remember now.
Ohio.
It's Toledo.
Toledo,
Ohio. Vaidi. Where did you find out? Where did you find that out?
Yeah, it's
LinkedIn. Very good. Okay, so he lives in a city called Toledo, Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, out of curiosity, you should go and look at the US map. The US map is because all our customers are in the US, right? So I think it's good to know where they live, which part of the country they live. Because these are all become, the more you know about the customers, then, somewhere you might read some news about some event in Toledo, Ohio, and then that can be a conversation, so because the US is in the news all the time, right, for something or the other, good or bad or, whatever it is. So these little facts that will help them to understand, that you are, interested in connecting with them. So Ohio is a state that is, Michigan is where our office is, right in the center of the country by the big lake. Michigan Lake is there, and just our office in a city called Grand Rapids is just east of Michigan City, of Michigan Lake. And this is another further east. I think there's Indiana in between, and then Ohio. That's also below a lake. I don't know what that lake is called, Superior or something. So Toledo, Ohio is where he lives. Now, when you look at him, all of you see him regularly. Does he look like what we think an American should look like? Murli, அவர் எங்க செங்கோட்டையில இருந்து வந்த மாதிரி இருக்காரா இல்லாட்டி எதுவும் டெல்லியில இருந்து வந்த மாதிரி இருக்கிறாரா இல்லாட்டி அமெரிக்கால இருக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கா?
டெல்லியில இருந்து வந்த மாதிரியும் இருக்கு.
டெல்லியில வந்த மாதிரியும் இருக்கா? நீ டெல்லி போயிருக்கியா முரளி? பத்தியா? தைரியமா சொல்றான் டெல்லியில இருந்த மாதிரி.
பார்லிமெண்ட் பார்க்கும்போது ஒரு ஐடியா.
Okay, so someone can be brave to say, what does Andrew look like? Where do you think? You think he was born and brought up in Toledo, Ohio,
No,
or?
I think that China.
You
China,
think he's China?
Some
Leo
Indonesian
and
flavor is there. Indonesian flavor.
Indonesian flavor.
By seeing the face also and the name also Leong Fan. That is also like of Japan or China. Like
Indonesian.
Shan is Korean.
What I suspect is he must be from Singapore kind of thing.
Very good.
Very good. But of course, from his birth, he must be from English people. I mean, with English people like America or England. But of course, his parents must be from Singapore.
Okay. So, so quite a few of you say he's got some kind of an Eastern features, like Chinese or Japanese, Korean, Singapore, and so on. These are things, I've not asked him myself, but definitely he's got some Oriental, maybe Chinese lineage in his family. But the name Leong is very much a Chinese sounding name. But the hyphenated name Fern doesn't look very Chinese to me. So that could be an English or British, Colombian, Canadian, whatever name it is. So that's a hyphenated name. And so there is some mixed parentage in him, so he's got some Chinese and some Western thing in him. What I discovered is that he I don't know where he was born, but he grew up in Canada and his mother still lives in Canada. He's got some family in Canada. So maybe my guess is that, the previous generation, his parents or grandparents, they migrated from somewhere in Asia to Canada. And then he has moved to the US for his studies and his work. And so that's why the features, his facial features definitely have some Eastern thing in him. But when you speak to him, of course, his language, is very refined American English. You don't find any accent in him. Right. So that's just a little bit about Andrew, his orientation, all that. So what will be good for you, I think some of you have not gone in detail, but definitely take time to go into LinkedIn, try to understand. By LinkedIn, many people, depends on, some people put a lot of, personal history in there. Some people can be very brief. So you'll understand what he has studied. He's a very, very educated, is very entrepreneurial. He's got multiple professional, experience. So all that you'll get to understand. And the one thing that you will all already know, that he does not have a technical background, right? So he cannot understand our coding technologies, and he also admits that. So he's an entrepreneur, he's a business owner, he's got product idea he wants to build, he knows what market he wants to sell, and he knows the value of the products that he can sell. But the technical part of it is not his strengths. So he's got a non-technical background, but a strong business background. Right. Now, okay, let's look at the other thing. Who else is here? Mission Pathways is here, right? Who are all from Mission Pathways? Only Ibrahim. Yes, Ibrahim, Veera, only the two of you. Okay. All right. So now the interview is for you, Ibrahim. Okay. You already spent how many days in the company?
Week.
1 week. Oh, that's enough for you to know a lot about your client. Okay. So have you been on a video call with your client?
Yeah, twice.
Twice. Okay. So we talked a little bit about him last time also, and some examples we gave. Okay. So Bob Kosal, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, good. And do you, Daniel, I think it was Daniel who talked about first name, last name, and how names get truncated to single syllable names and so on. So Bob is definitely not his full name. So what
Something Robert. You said like Robert. The day you explained.
You gave Daniel. Is that the example you gave, Daniel? So fine. So Bob is a short for Robert. Don't ask me how that happened, but Robert. Some people have Rob as a short name. Some people will say Robbie. Okay, and that's how my name also. Timothy Daniel is very. There's no Indian name. Both the names are from the Bible. My parents gave me Daniel is my father's name as well. So Timothy is from the Bible. It's very Christian sounding name. So it's very easy when I used to travel overseas, the people could understand my name easily. Automatically, without I telling them, the first time itself, some people started calling me Tim. Because I think that is how a long name like Timothy consists of 3 syllables, so automatically they got, shortened to Tim. And, that's how it's got stuck. And, many people know me as Tim. And so same with Robert, so Thomas becomes Tom, Richard becomes Dick, so different ways by which they shorten the names for, I think, just for easy use. So Bob Kosal, and so Ibrahim, how old do you think Bob Kosal is?
So I guess he might be like 40 to 45.
40 to 45. Okay, Veera, what is your opinion? Yeah, what do you think? How old do you think Bob Kosal is?
Yeah, same age, for above 40, I thought.
Rumba sandoshapaduvarpa. He's going to be flattered. Very good.
But looking very old, but
ஒரே நிமிஷத்துல கதையை மாத்திட்டியா? Okay, so Bob Kosal is 50 plus. He will be close to 55 or so. Don't ask me how I figured out the name, but his experience wise, if you look at his LinkedIn profile and all that, and maybe because he was here 2 years back, maybe I saw his age somewhere in his passport or something. He's about 55 years old. He had, when in a video you see only his face, right? How much in the video you only see his face?
Yes.
So do you know how tall he is?
So averagely, every American should be like 6 feet average there.
Yes. Yeah. Very good.
Good guess.
He is very good. Yeah, 6 feet plus. He will be definitely 6 feet plus. He's also very big. He's about, I don't know, he's wider than my hands. He's a very big man. Sometimes in the video you don't see the size of such people. But he's a very soft person, regardless of the size. He's a very soft person. When I say soft, the speaking, when you speak, some people can speak very gentle. The words that he uses, never gets angry, never gets upset. That kind of a person. He's thing. And Veera, how many children does he have?
I really don't know. I'm not searched about him much. So even that name also came to know on last class. Tribe class only. But Bob, why they called Bob? But in Trello board I saw actually whenever he added chord, actually that mentioned like or K. Okay. Even I don't know actually what it mean. So latterly I came to know.
Robert Kosal, RK.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. He's got 4 children.
Okay.
Right, Daniel?
Yes, sir.
And I think
grandfather, right, sir?
First 3 children are married. I think first 3 children are married, and only his youngest, a daughter. He brought his, when he came in 2019.
That I know.
You know that. So Alagu was there, even though he was not part of the Mission Pathways or Parish Soft team.
Already got married.
We have a photo also for.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Veera, where does Bob Kosal live?
That also I don't know.
Michigan.
But actually in backside of so until our estimation time, the backside I saw your photo also, Taj Mahal, and that photo he was there.
He lives in Michigan.
He's in Michigan. Okay, good. Any further guesses about which city he is from, Ibrahim?
No idea. The day like we had a conversation, he said that he lives in Michigan.
Does anybody in this group know which city is Bob Kosal from? Mission Pathways company, where are they? அழகு அது தெரியலையா உனக்கு?
தெரியல சார்.
Okay.
அது அவங்க பொண்ணு சொல்லியா சார்?
So Bob Kosal and lives in the same city where his company Mission Pathway is. It's a city called Ann Arbor. It's two words, ANNARBOR.
But
It's close.
Andrew also told that mentioned that this company is in the Ann Arbor, I think so.
Which company?
Metaphor.
Menlo is in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
Metaphor.
In her in Crunch Bunch, the application is there.
Okay.
In that, Andrew also mentioned that the location will be Ann Arbor.
Okay. So yeah, so Ann Arbor. See, in the US, there are these big cities, right? You know, Prem, you lived around Dallas, right? Which part of the US did you live in?
I was in Hartford, Connecticut.
Hartford, Connecticut. Yeah. Okay. So there are big cities, you know, you heard of New York, Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta, Los Angeles. Now, these are all mega cities, big cities. But it is not like one city. It is not like, you know, Detroit, you know, New York is one city. New York will consist of, you know, many small suburbs. Like in Chennai, we have, you know, all the suburbs that we call, right? Anna Nagar, Mylapur, Royapeta, Ashok Nagar, KK Nagar, T Nagar. All that, each of them is a city. In the US context, each of them is a city by itself. What they will say is Greater Dallas Metropolitan Area. So all the combined areas together comes under Dallas administration. But each of them is a small city. Like that, Ann Arbor is a city by itself, very, very close to a big city called Detroit. You heard of Detroit?
Detroit.
Anybody heard of Detroit? Yeah, a few hands. Okay. So Detroit is a big city. It is, do you know what Detroit is famous for?
Car manufacturing.
Car manufacturing, right. So that's why they sometimes call Chennai Detroit of India, because there are a lot of, you know, automobile manufacturing activity happens here. All the big automobile manufacturing companies are based around Detroit. Now, of course, you know, those companies are not as good as or as big as what they used to be many years back. So Detroit is a big city. Ann Arbor is right next to it. It's a smaller city, but, you know, all part of that. So that's where company Mission Pathways is there. That's where Bob Kosal lives, and all the key managers of his team, they're all living there. All right. So, so you also, you know, Veera and, you know, Ibrahim also, I would ask that you try to connect to Bob Kosal on LinkedIn. Okay. And I'm sure he will accept, you know, I don't think he will ignore you, because you're all part of his team. And that way you'll get to understand what he has done previously, because he's always been a kind of product owner kind of a person. He's always been building products, you know, this company, his previous company, and his previous experience, so on. So you'll get to understand he's very much, even though he's like 55 years old, he's very much a hands-on, practical coding. He's very unlike Andrew. Okay, Andrew has just got the business idea, but Bob is the guy who can actually architect the product. And so that's why, you know, he's very hands-on and technical. So like this, you guys should try to find out, you know, so what the strengths are, you know, what networks they are in, you know, what areas are their interests and all that. And once you get to know them personally, then we can go into other details about, you know, maybe to some extent, you know, what their family lives are, personal lives are, and so on. Okay, with that said, I wanted to, you know, jump into the main part of our class today, which is kind of, you know, communication, you know, like how do we interact with clients, you know, and, you know, what are the issues behind that. I know that Arun is also joining us later. Arun George will take over other aspects of American work culture. And he has a presentation to show you, and he probably has some movies also to play. But I want to touch on, you know, a couple of things about American work culture, which is very important because we deal with the clients on a day-to-day basis. So the first thing you have to understand is, you know, like, you know, their work culture is very different from our style, right? So, we all have a certain work style, office, like, Tim sir, otherwise you're scared that I will get angry, that because of my age, you feel I should be called sir. Daniel, for example, Daniel Jacob, he's worked with EC Group much longer than I did. He was the man who actually hired me. He was a HR manager. He only took my application, sent it to managing director. All that happened, and he will call me sir all the time, and I've not been able to change it. But he'll call our chairman, which is Tom Sudik, who's our owner of a company, Tom. So he's 10 years older than me. Okay, and he's the owner of the company. But Daniel will call him Tom. I'm like much below him, and he'll call me sir, because basically because I'm older than Daniel Jacob. That's all. So only for my age, and longer years of experience, So that is our culture, right? We generally in India, anybody older, we don't like to call by name. America, that rule doesn't exist at all. There is no age or status or level-based respect anywhere, professionally, personally. In many in some families, even the parents can be called by name, because now in our company, Tom Sudik is the chairman, and his son Mike Sudik is the CEO. In our conversations, he will not say my father, dad, my dad, and all. He will say only Tom. So Tom has taken this decision. Tom has mentioned this. Tom will join us for this meeting. His mother is doing the accounts. She is the CFO. So he will call his mother also by name only. So therefore, that's the way American culture is. So we cannot and we should not call our clients by sir or madam. Okay. And generally, I do not know about some of the other Western countries. I have worked in some countries, and nobody sir. But of course, the sir, madam concept has come from British, because the British only taught us English, and they taught us, some of the value system. They have taught us like that. It doesn't work in the US. Okay, so first thing you have to recognize is that they are all equal in terms of, accessibility, addressing, communication, and so on. And that respect, we show in different ways, right? If somebody comes into our office and we think he's a big man, we all automatically will stand up. That also doesn't work, So even you can go to some company, the chairman of the company will walk in. They will say, hi, good morning. How are you doing? So more casual, attitude, no getting up and, wishing him, things like that. It is not expected, and it is not done generally. Everybody is respected for what that person does. Okay, so everybody's respect is only for the work of that person. You can be whatever race you are, whatever color you are, whatever clothes you wear, how good looking or ugly looking or, well kept or whatever, all that doesn't matter. Only what matters is your work. And with your work is what, and so beyond that, everybody is equal. Okay, so in the work is all that matters in the American work culture. They don't worry about anything else, and so that's important. So when we are, when we are also doing our work, especially our Western clients, because they don't see us, of course, you see each other on a, video meeting and things like that. But what they will recognize is the code that we write. That is our work output. How good or bad that code is, so they'll make a judgment or opinion based on that. Okay, in what areas we have to change, what are the weaknesses of one person, what are the things he has to learn, develop, all that, so all the judgment, the opinion is all based on the work that you do, nothing else. Okay, so you also, approach the clients only in that way. So you take issues to Andrew for the areas that he can handle. You take issues to Allison or Scoot for the issues they can handle. Similarly with Bob and the others that you deal with. So you don't have to worry about whether they are the owner of the company or the VP of the company or head of, technology, senior developer, junior developer. Jansi can pick up the phone and speak to, Andrew, and, he will definitely answer her, whatever query she has, he will answer her. If he doesn't know, he'll politely say, speak to so-and-so, or I'll come back, so that is the way they'll approach it. They will not say, here we are scared, oh, should I ask him, what he'll get angry, I should not approach such a senior person. There, all of that doesn't matter. So there is no class or, levels. And that is even, everywhere else, not just in work, but everywhere else also the same attitude is present. And that culture extends to their personal behavior in the office also. When you go to somebody's office and you see, they'll all be very casual, and here at least we try to say, okay, we have some dress code, shirt, pant, no round neck t-shirt and all that kind of thing. In most of the US technology companies, some few companies, the older companies, banking institutions, financial institutions, they might be dressed more formally. But generally, in the kind of clients that we deal with, technology companies, the work environment is very casual. People will be dressed very casually. There was one client who came from California some few years back. So I went to pick him up in the hotel he was staying in. So he was wearing a nice cotton pant and a white half-sleeve shirt, but he was wearing what we call rubber slippers, right? Which we don't normally wear outside home. And so he was staying in a nice hotel on Mount Road. So I went and picked him up. This was how he was dressed. Nice shirt and pant, but rubber slippers. And I was a bit, kind of, how is this? He was the head of the development, he was a senior technical person in the company. Then a little later, I went to visit him in his office in California. And where I went, he is wearing shorts and he's wearing a round neck t-shirt, like what we would be wearing at home, and rubber slippers. And all the people working in his office are all dressed like that only. But, so for them, it's the work that matters, how you dressed, doesn't really matter. So the work culture is most important, so for them, you come, you be dressed, you do whatever you want, but ultimately the work is what. But when we are basically, servicing clients, because of the respect we give to clients, we try to be dressed properly in our meetings and so on, looking, slightly fresh and so on. So that is our culture. But I think you have to recognize, we can't wonder because they don't give importance to that. It's just that, they take everything only around the work and nothing else matters. What they take seriously, as I said, is work. So, they make absolute discipline about work. If they agree on something, they will stick to it. They will not change it. Punctuality in meetings, like our class is at 2 o'clock. I appreciated all of you were there at 2 o'clock. I was 1 or 2 minutes late. So any meeting will start on the dot, and I think that's a general Western custom. I think even in Europe, I've heard Switzerland and all that are very, very particular about that timing, even to seconds, so here also Americans, very, very punctual, so 2 o'clock meeting, not 2 o'clock exactly. Somebody will come, I came like 1 or 2 minutes late to this meeting. Typically, if it was an American, he would have apologized. He said, I'm sorry, I was late. In our case, in some meetings, I was attending a public meeting. They said the meeting was at 11 o'clock. It was a physical event happening somewhere. And, I was joined on Zoom. 11 o'clock, they said Zoom all on stream was all happening. Nothing is on stage, some people are walking around. There's no activity at all. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. The meeting actually started 11:45. 45 minutes later, nobody said anything about the delay. It was like after the meeting was starting at 11 o'clock. That kind of thing, will never happen in the Western world. So meetings, punctuality is absolutely on the dot. And once I had gone to the US and one of our colleagues, we had fixed up a meeting to go and meet a client. And the meeting was at 10 o'clock or so. And it was a different town. So my colleague, he came from Grand Rapids and we went together. We went by car and because it was new town, we did not know the place. We went a little early and we reached the place 10 minutes early. The meeting was at 10 o'clock. We reached by about 9:50 or so. So I said, wow, this is very good. We can go and wait. So he said, no, Tim, let's wait here. We can't go 10 minutes early to the meeting. So only at 9:58, we got out of the car. We were sitting and chatting in the car park. 9:58, we got out of the car. By the time we went into the front door, it was 9:59. 10 o'clock exactly, we could meet the person we are supposed to meet, and we started the meeting exactly at 10 o'clock. So you can't go too early. You can't go too late. On the dot means on the dot. So, that's a commitment they keep to respect each other, because, when you're going to a meeting, it's like 2 people, 3 people. So one person's respect for the other person, and the basic discipline of timing is very, very strong. So we have to remember that, so whenever we have meetings, we have to log in exactly maybe 1 minute early, 2 minutes early. And, never, 1 minute late or 2 minutes late. So that is very, very important, and they expect that. And that applies to all work commitments that we have. If we have a commitment to say, okay, we'll finish this task by Friday, 4 p.m., they automatically, by default, they would expect that the work is, if you don't say anything at all till Friday, 4 p.m., they will understand and know that that work is going to finish at 4 p.m. So the 4 p.m., it doesn't happen, they'll be very surprised. They'll be shocked, they will get probably even very upset that the work was not done by 4 o'clock, because that's the unwritten rule. And you said you're given a timing, the timing you're supposed to hold good. So the timing control is very, very important expectation. And there is a slight dynamics in terms of the meetings. Okay, and I'll briefly touch upon that. Now, most of you are in a stand-up meeting, right, in which many people are there. Okay, so group meeting. So you basically talk to the agenda of the meeting. Typically, an agile stand-up will say, what each of you have done yesterday or the previous week in the sprint review, and what your plan for the next week is, or the next till the next review period. What are the hindrances? So everybody has just a 1 minute or 2 minute update, and it goes around. There's not much discussion around anything else. But if you have a one-on-one meeting with a person, it can be a planned meeting or an unplanned meeting. You just called and say, I want to discuss something, which may or may not happen all the time. But if you do that, that one-on-one meeting is definitely a little bit more casual than a formal, team meeting, because the team meeting will go by the agenda. So in our management team also, we have a weekly team meeting. We will go by an agenda. So there's not much of opportunity to talk about other things. But when I get one-on-one with somebody, then we talk about family, what's happening, this and that, and all that we talk about. So the agenda is also slightly fixed in a team meeting, but a personal meeting, you can talk about other things. So quickly, let's touch upon, I think we are running short of time. Probably what I will do is I'll stop off here, because I think I did want to talk about what we say in meetings and how we conduct ourselves in meetings. But I talked a little bit about the American work culture, and that's an area that, Arun has also got a presentation, and he's got some, surrounding points around that. So I'm going to pass it, because the specifics of the team, of the team meetings and meetings, what we should say, what we should not say, we'll take it in the next session, because some of the others are also missing in this meeting today. So at this moment, I'll pass on to Arun, and he will talk about other aspects of the American work culture. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all having fun, but your faces are telling that it's a subject that you are interacting with customers every day. You might already started picking up, all these years of work you would have picked up, but there are some nuances. That's what we are trying to touch upon. So now I think we believe everybody has got on to what is this subject, what is Thrive about, what we are telling, right? So you might have got a little bit of that. So all that Tim is mentioning is unwritten rules, as he mentioned. They expect us to finish things on time. They expect us to come to the meetings on time. So everything is about how they perceive work, because they are our work masters, at least in these relationships. So we have to adjust to that. So I have a presentation here, which is closely resembling what Tim is talking about. So let me share my screen. Let me know when you see my screen.
Yes, we are able to see.
Okay, good. All right. So work life in America. By just talking to them over a call 1 hour every day, you might even see their surroundings, how they work, what is their, it is very similar to our Bay culture, but then they also have something called, water cooler conversations. That is, if in our offices, we have a small water cooler and then only one person can stand. So there is not much of a discussion or chat around that. But in all US offices, you will have the water cooler inside something called a pantry, where you have a refrigerator and all those things, right? So people actually, when they go to take water, there is a small conversation, sometimes related to work, sometimes apart from work. So that is a very important part of their culture. We say we are not able to go to office, chat with other teams. For them, it is that water cooler conversations, interacting with a person from a different department. They are not having that, and they value that really a lot. So this is a typical, in 2020 or something, most of the Bay Area, the work culture is open office. They don't have any cubicles. Cubicles are pretty much from 70s, 80s, 90s. Now they are breaking it off and coming into this kind of a work culture. Especially Mission Pathways and Metaphor, the Menlo teams that you are working with, they call it software factory. They don't even call it office. It's a factory. And just like how an industrial factory has so much noise and machines running, they want that flow to be noisy. A lot of discussions and all those things. Instead of one programmer just typing, they want a lot of discussions to happen. That is their culture. So contextually, you'll have to understand that also. Okay. So here, the next slide I have is, what time do we wake up here in India? Usually.
By 10 morning.
10. Ibrahim wakes up at 10. Please note the point of order. General waking hours, 7, 8. Mostly if you are working till 9:30, 10, then your morning wake up time will change. But just look at this graphics. By 6, 6:30, more than half of America is awake. This is a survey somewhere they conducted. So before 5 o'clock, there is 8%, 5 to 5:30, 12%, 6 to 6:30, 23%. Around 7 o'clock, half of the America is awake. So they are morning people. So even many in Mission Pathways or in Metaphor, you would have seen, they might even want to, now that they are working from home, they might want to start early. That is Vale in this meeting? Vale is not there. So Vale is discussing with one person who is waking up at 3:30. He's 60-year-old gentleman. He says, I am wide awake at 3:30 and I start my work at 3:30. So 3:30, around 5 o'clock, he's 3:30 is around 1 o'clock, 1:30 for us. And from that time itself, they are working. So they are very much morning people, and we have to understand that. Okay. And before the pandemic, all these slides were made before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, they wake up, they do their morning chores, and then they hit the car. So you might know that American roads are very big because people mostly don't live inside the city. They live outside, called suburbs. So from suburbs like, Chengalpattu is a suburb, Sriperumbudur is a suburb for Chennai. People live in large quantities outside the city, and they try to come inside the city. Morning commute, the rush hour commute. So you see all the cars, dead packed jam. So if you were in that situation, the morning first conversation would be, oh, today's I-95 was a parking lot, meaning it was literally, I was sitting in the car. It was like a parking lot. The cars were not moving. So they will talk about traffic. So why we are bringing these contexts inside? There is a reason. When you start your morning calls, if it is a one-on-one, as Tim said, you can talk about those things. Like, how was your commute this morning? Very casually, not every day, once in a week. So that they will, bring their life into you. They will say, yeah, I'm living 20 miles away. I was having a rough day coming into the office today, something like that. So apart from work, once in a while, when you start talking about their life and their surroundings and everything, they will develop an interest in you. They will start developing a trust in you. So these are all important points that you can discuss with your customers eventually. So majority of them take metro. All the main cities, they have metro. So as you see, sorry, I take that back. Majority of them drive their cars. So even though the metro is there, they try to take their personal vehicle, and there is a separate lane called high occupancy vehicle lane, HOV lane. So if there is two or some areas, two people, if they are in the car, they can take that lane. So what they do, all these workers, when they go to office, if they are in the same bay or something, they will discuss within themselves and start carpooling. So one day, one person will take his car, everybody will come to his house, put their car, jump onto this man's car, and 4 people. So now it's a high occupancy vehicle. They can take the speed lane and go to office. So every alternate day, they will, take the other person's car and they will try to go to the office quicker. So that is another contextual point that you can try to understand. And then it's a trivia. So you are seeing 3 images on the screen, right? Can you name the 3 things that you are seeing? What is the name, American name for these 3 things? You can give it a try. Anybody? What is the top left, the top right, bottom image? What is it called? Take a guess.
Lane, right?
Lane.
Okay, one person is saying lane.
The second one is lane, I think so, George.
What is it writing?
Lane? Yeah. Whatever.
Okay. The top right, this one is, we call it highway, right? Or national highway something. Here they call it interstate. Interstate. It's going between states. So it's called interstate. Okay. Most of them they will talk about I-95, I-71, I-40. These are all like how we have NH-45, NH-37, something like that. So they will have at least some discussions, because that is taking a most part of their commute. So they will have discussions about my ride today was very bad because the I-95 was packed, something like that. What is in the bottom right? It's called a parkway. If it's an interstate and if it is going through forest, they start calling it parkway. New Jersey Parkway, New Jersey Turnpike Parkway, something like that. And what do you think is the top left? In India, what will you call that? Okay, I'll go with the answer. It's called driveway. The place where you park your car is called driveway. The place where you drive your car is called parkway. Okay, so that's the oxymoron, or the opposite way. So that's the American way. Where you park your car, it's called driveway. That is in your front portico where you park your car, it's called driveway. And where you drive your car, if it is surrounded by a forest, if it is going through a forest, then it's called parkway. Okay, so that is contextual things.
Okay, Arun, just on that picture, so the top right picture you saw, Arun described about the interstate, right?
Yeah.
So they're all called freeways. So if you see most of the sign, you will have the signs that are put up. So you see the Glendale, the number 2, Glendale FWY. So the FWY basically is a shortened form of freeway. Okay, so all these big American highways are all called freeways. And freeway basically means there's non-stop traffic, so it's like, for miles and miles together, there won't be any signals or, crossings, intersections. You can just keep driving for, many miles. And he mentioned about interstate, highway number, like here also we have highway numbers, like NH-47, NH-5 and all that. So I is interstate, so I is interstate. So this one here, you see that number in one small blue triangle right on top, right? That's called I-5. So interstate 5. So it is a highway which goes along the west coast from the north to south. So this particular section of that highway is going toward the city called Los Angeles. So that's why that number 5 is there. So those 3 lanes on the left, those 3 arrows, those 3 lanes, basically that is the I-5 highway freeway going up to the city Los Angeles. So that we will see this same kind of, so people when they commute to work, for example, if you're a little away from your office, typically they will like to get on a freeway like this, even like 15-20 minutes drive, they'll get onto a freeway so that the traffic will be smooth, and there will not be any stopping. But when they get closer to the city or the office where they got, the picture will be like at the bottom, like everybody's going to work and a lot of traffic, and the traffic is slow. So they get very irritated when the traffic is slow, and how they are particular about timing, right? So 8 o'clock means 8 o'clock the meeting starts. So the guy is stuck in the car. He will actually dial in for the call from the car, He will not say, okay, I'll wait, I'll be 10 minutes late or 15 minutes late, and he will. They're so disciplined about the timing. So he will dial in from the car. He might even be having his laptop open so that he can, do whatever, discussion that he can do that based on the notes that he has.
Okay. So, so you see that, this is your interest rate, right? 5, Los Angeles 5. They have done a good thing where every country follows a system, right? All the odd number interest rates are running north-south. I-95, I-5, 1, all those things. All the even numbers, I-40, I-60, I-70, running east-west. So when you are driving in a road, you know whether you will reach California or whether you will reach Texas. Based on whether it's even number or odd number, you can determine. And every highway has something written, I-95 north or I-95 south. So when you are driving, you just look up the board, you know whether you will reach Florida or whether you will reach New York. So it will tell you the direction and everything. So you might not even need a map. You can just keep following west. You will go to the west coast. Keep following the odd numbers. You will either reach Canada or Mexico, something like that. So that's the system they follow. Okay. So next we will see. So the morning ceremonies or rituals in an American office is that everybody tries to grab their favorite beverage. Some drink coffee. So mostly they drink black coffee or tea or something. If a person wants a special beverage, they bring it and keep it in the refrigerator and they make it in the morning. So pretty much in the morning meeting, you can see everybody holding a mug of coffee or something like that, and they try to greet everyone. And everybody have their own style. Hey, what's up? And how you're doing? How are you? Things like that. And they value that. That's the important point. So when you start the call, if you are going to be like this, just hello, that's not the way they would expect. You can be a little bit bright and cheerful and greet them in the call. Hey, good morning, Andrew. Good morning, something like that. So they will value that. The Americans, they value that. Okay. And pretty much all these modern offices has this Keurig machine where they'll have all those 8 different flavors of coffee. They just take the box, put it, it will pierce it, put hot water, and you'll get that kind of, vanilla flavor or something like that. And the refrigerator is a core part of an American office culture because it's very large, very huge, and you can bring your food and keep it. But the problem is, just like our home refrigerator, they will forget that they kept the food. So what happens after a month when they open, there is new living creatures living inside. Fungus or something is living inside. So most of the offices, they follow something like Friday cleanup. So they will put a sticker saying, by Friday, if you brought some Kara Kolambu and kept it inside, please take it outside. Don't keep it inside. Or else everything, they'll just bring the trash, push everything from the refrigerator and just throw it in the trash. So that is one way they'll try to keep. That is also part of their culture, bringing food and heating it up and eating it in the office. Okay. So office pantry, and you will see there will be memos stuck. The office refrigerator will be cleaned Friday. All your science projects must be removed by 4 p.m. Okay. And when it comes to attire, as Tim said, each company, they follow a little bit differently. Some modern startups and some hip cultural companies, the West Coast or East Coast, they would want to have free culture, just wear shorts or something like that. But there are sales-oriented companies or somebody who has to look very perfect and fit. They have to be suited up. They wear their suits all day, suit and tie, everything. Okay. So pretty much on the left, what you see is how it would be looking. And people in IT, especially not us, the true IT, the system network admin, things like that, they would prefer to wear jeans and all those things because they're special people. They are working in servers, right? So that's the thing. And most of them, you can see them wearing this things called loafers. That's what they call cut shoes. We call it, right? Easy to wear to office, easy to remove, all those things. And even in the first picture, you could see in an open, a floor plan, they bring their personal vehicle like a bicycle and keep it next to them. And here you can see in that way itself, see how many people are bringing their bicycle. They live in the town, they just ride the cycle, and the elevators are not very small. Elevators are a little bit bigger. So you can actually push the cycle inside the lift, come to your floor, drive the cycle and keep it next to your bed. So that's their mentality. That's their work culture. Okay. Next, I have a video on suburbia. Maybe I'll just share it with you later. Parking. So parking is a very important concept. As you saw in the first slide, in the commute, everybody wants to come in the car, right? So all these offices needs to have lots of parking spaces. At least if the office is in a suburb, something like Shriberamadur, then you can come up with all these parking spaces. What about if you are in T Nagar? If your workspace is in T Nagar? So they have solved the problem several years ago by building public parking garages, right? So you take your Google map and say garage, it will show so many balloons in your Google map, all the parking garages around it. So everything is paid parking. If it is farther from the downtown, it's $5 per hour. If it is closer to downtown, it's $20-30 per hour. So you'll go and park your car. And if you are going to plan to park the whole month, if you are working there, you will, just like our bus pass, you can get a monthly pass. So you will have some concession and you can park your car. So this is the office of GFS, one of our customers in Grand Rapids. Look, at least there will be 2,000, 3,000 cars parked. That is how they drive into the office. Okay. When it comes to personal space, most of them will be working in a cubicle. Off late, they will be moving into this kind of open spaces, and they don't mind other person speaking loud. They try to concentrate and work through that. That's how we have seen all the customers. They work that way. Okay, and some of the meeting etiquettes that they follow is, you don't try to do any small talk or chit chat inside the meeting. Meeting has a special agenda. So anything you want to discuss about, you have to have it outside the meeting. And then you can't just keep on rambling about your concept. You have to get up and say your concept and then retract back. So you have to be concise about what you are saying. And initiate the handshake if you are a high-ranking person. So instead of us doing the handshake, the higher-ranking person would start giving his hand and try to do a handshake. Always stand when you are being introduced. I think that's a common cultural thing. Being on time, all the things that Tim said. Now, punctuality is something that they really value, and they look in us. They try to see if we are punctual. Sitting appropriately and then dressing appropriately for a meeting. Point number 8 is very important. They are very independent people, right? They live alone. They have their own car. Everything is independent. So they don't want others to do something out of sympathy or pity. Like if somebody is coming, oh, please sit down. They don't like that. I am able to pull my chair. Why are you doing that for me? So that is their thought process. So if it's a woman or even an elder person, they themselves will take the chair and sit down. We should not be doing that, right? And you better come prepared for the meeting. Where even if you are not having anything to say, you should have some response. This is why I do not have the answer for this. Come prepared for the meeting and have a strong agenda. Point number 11 is the most important for us in our setting. We are not with them. We are not in their office. We are not in the physical 1:1. We are in a remote setup like Zoom or something. So how we speak and how clearly we speak, with the high volume we speak matters. They should not ask, hey, can you please repeat that? Can you please say it in a loud voice? At least repeat, it's okay. We speak in an Indian accent, they speak in an American accent. But they should not say, can you speak up in a higher volume? They should not say. And this is a common problem that we all have. I was working in a company and they took me to lunch. This was 2007. And they asked something and I was just responding back. Immediately he said, Arun, can't you speak up? This is the volume that they spoke to me. I was a little bit ashamed, but I understood the value that in American context, you have to make your point clear in the first time itself. So even if you are talking in broken English, you try to speak it in a volume that they are able to listen. Okay, so that is a little bit important thing for us. And understand the unwritten speaking rules. And you can drink coffee because everybody drinks the coffee, but not eat inside the meeting room. And pretty much this is global standard, right? When you go into a room, put your phone on silent. So you don't get disturbed, right? And try to, if you have a question, you would have seen me do that. In any meetings, you try to raise your hand and tell them, hey, I have a question. Can I ask it now? Or should I wait till the end of the thing? So contextually, you can end that instead of saving it up for the last minute. So they value that. If somebody puts their hands up, say, do you have a question? Oh, I took your question, but let me answer it towards the end. So they will have an option to respond to, right? And this is a pretty important thing that does not affect us because by 9:30 we close work, right? And then we go out. But for them, that 12 to 1, predominantly around you can see, majority of them 12 to 1 they finish lunch. There are very little people they eat lunch afterwards. For us, 2:30, 3 o'clock we'll eat lunch. Different times we eat lunch. They value that time. And if we say 2:30 what you're doing, I'm eating lunch, they will look at it differently because that's not the usual thing. And when you see, people don't take the entire 1 hour. They finish up their lunch because one burger or one sandwich, and see what they do. 29% they work during lunch. 42% they just chat with the co-workers. And 27% internet, 25% check personal email. So till that time, it will be on silent. In lunchtime, they will see there will be so many missed calls. They will answer one by one, each and every person. So they value that. Work time is work time. Personal time is during only lunchtime, right? So some people they take a walk and all those things. So that is their lunch culture. You can see this board in many of the offices. Why? I don't think anybody in this room has a firearm like a gun or something. But in USA, maybe 50-60% in this audience will have a gun at home. So when you have that much percent of people owning a gun, it becomes, sometimes there is some internal conflict or something, and they try to bring the gun. So there is an explicit message: please do not bring any firearms. That is a federal, offense that you bring firearm into workplace. Even one of our customers, we have had that. So they said, okay, today no calls. We are all in lockdown. Why? When I think we all went, there was a room in middle of all the conference room. There is a room. It has a thick 1 foot thick wall with a vault, like a bank vault. We asked what this room is. This is our safe room. In case there is anybody shooting, we will all come inside this room and lock ourselves. So that is also part of the they want to be safe in the workplace. So they want violence-free workplace. They want text instead of calls. Instead of calling them at around 2, we all know that at 2 o'clock somebody is going to be in the workplace. So instead of calling them, they try to send an SMS. That's all accepted cultural practices, right? And this is another important thing. Sometimes when a phone call comes, we just tell our teammate the phone at Attire, and then we go and try to speak, whatever we want to speak and come back. But they prefer it to keep it very short during the work hours. Hey, I'm in a meeting, I'm working. Yeah, I took your message, I'll call you back later. That's it. They try to keep their calls very quickly, even if it is family or anything, they keep it very quickly during work hours. And if it happens that way, like, you are taking a video call with your customer and the phone rings, and if it is very important, you just tell them, 1 minute, I'll just answer this call, and try to keep it very short because that is their expected culture, right? Always wear a headset, and then, beard or whatever grooming, whatever you groom, try to be at your best, and no propaganda, social, religious propaganda or something like that. And even recently there was a big confusion about people speaking in social media. When you are working for Amazon and you speak about something, the whole world sees that Amazon is telling it. Somebody in base camp, they were talking about abortion laws or something. So the whole, the outside view is base camp's view is this. So when you are representing a company, you don't say anything in social media, or you try to have a completely disconnected account. If something happens, your words are against the government or something, it is a wrong reflection on the company you are working for. So they value that really highly. Okay. So base camp, they said no social media discussions, and half the workforce they left. They said you are not respecting our privacy, so we are leaving. So there is a lot of politics around that. So they are very careful about it. Okay. Last one, prohibited plagiarism. At least in our line of business, all the code, most of the code that we write is coming from Stack Overflow. We just Google it, first result. We can take that small snippet of code, we can fix it and put it. But in other work, like editorials or things like that, they expect the originality. You can't just take some work from somewhere and put it. They hate it and try to avoid it. That's prohibiting all the plagiarism, right? So these are all work culture, and something that is not that much, in our Indian IT office culture is that our cubes are meant to be kept clean and with little bit artifacts, but it's totally contrasting when you go to a Western world. They try to fill it up with all the personal artifacts. If they are very good in fishing, they try to keep all the awards got. If they are good in golf, they put the awards, photographs, family pictures, vacation pictures, everything. They try to make it as personal as possible. And some people they keep it with music system also with a small volume. They will ask the consent of all the people around them and say, can I put a little bit volume? And then they keep. So that is very different from our culture. Okay. And this is the one that I spoke about. In the pantry, when one person goes to take water, there is a small conversation, water cooler conversation. So that is very, very much evident in their office culture. Okay. And you can also see people going between conference rooms, and they have, if they are not having time, their meetings, small meetings are actually kept between those walks, because the office is very wide and the rooms are separated. So they would say, I'll be between 3 to 3:05, you can meet me and we can just talk. So that is also a part of their work culture. Right? And after work hours, so that's the last slide. We went to visit this office in Denver, and myself and another person who came with me, we were working. It was around 5:15. We were still working, because in an Indian context, you want to leave as late. But by 5:30, everybody has changed their dress into shorts, because there is large restroom. They go change and they open the TT board and they start playing. Because for them, morning 8 o'clock, if they start accurately, 5 o'clock, they have to wind up. So they see to that even the last meeting doesn't go beyond 5. 5:15, they are all either playing basketball or TT or going to a sports bar or a snooker or a bowling, something like that. After work hours, they respect that also. So we can very confidently say, I will work this, and at 5 o'clock or whatever time we will close it out. 9:30 your time, right? You can say 9:30, I'm cutting it off. My day is getting over. I have to go and have dinner and all those things, and they will respect that, because you're starting on time and you're ending on time. So you don't need to be obligated to feel, the customer is still there, I need to extend the call till 10 o'clock. No, 9:30 you can confidently say, my shift is getting over. I need to go do other errands, and you can walk off. Okay, so that is a thing here. So I think that is my portion. So I'll stop sharing. Over to you, Tim or Daniel.
Yep. So in American standards, we are late. So today on the class. So this is just igniting sessions for us to learn. Okay, as we said in the first session, why should we learn all this? Okay, no, we are all Indians. No, and all that. It is not about that. It is about we work with somebody, or we meet people, and what is the mindset they're coming up with, how they respond, what do they say, and why do they say. It will be helpful, right? And that is how it is very much useful, because as Tim said, if somebody comes and calls you my name suddenly, we take it differently, or we may be actually judging people on that. So same way, if you judge them, then it doesn't work. Okay, that is how. So throughout the week, try to learn some more things. Next week, most of the learnings are going to be coming from you. Each should share one different thing that based on what you've learned. Okay, at least one different thing that you've learned. For when I visited the US for the first time, most of the time I had shocks. Why are they doing this like this? Even from the water drinking fountain. Here, water drinking, there is a glass and all that. No, there is a button you drink. Now I think now in the airports also has come. If you go into the airport in Mumbai airport, even Chennai airport, there are a couple of places. You press the button, water comes like this fountain, and you need to catch and drink. ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಎಲ್ಲ பண்ணுவோம்ல அந்த மாதிரி தான் வந்து in office they drink actually water.
It's now like all our malls have that.
All our malls we have. Oh, very good. Now, so I felt very awkward doing that. Public so it's all that's how actually they're doing it. And one of our customers who actually lived here for I think on more than 1.5 to 2 years, He said when he came and saw that there is a bubble top water can and there's a tumbler kept out there, he was shocked. Even in this century, are they using the same tumbler for drinking water? Is what now he was shocked about. Then he saw people come and drink like this. We don't actually touch our mouth, right? When we drink, he was like amazed. No, how are you doing it without spilling? It's all culture. That's how when we understand it, it gives a lot of clarity. That is the purpose of it. So this week, keep learning something new. And as you learn in the group, you keep putting on it. And let us see what all we can learn from each other next week. And along with there'll be another session also. Okay, thank you so much, guys. And meet you next week.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody.